This conversation begins with a very familiar story, the prodigal son, coming out of the book of Luke, chapter 15. Now, this story has been told over and over and over and over again. It's a very powerful story because it talks about the power of second chances. Now, I know you believe in second chances, right? I believe in second chances. I believe in chances, period. But this story is about the prodigal son taking advantage of the second chance. I pray that you have second chances. I pray that you've had second chances. And I pray that you've taken advantage of those chances. But the story also talks about the connection. It's the connection of a father and son, the connection, the disconnection, and the reconnection. Yeah, the connection, the disconnection, and the reconnection. It's a love story between a father and a son. It's a love story. It's a story that talks about restoration, redemption, revelation. I mean, that's what love stories are. It's just a compilation of a journey of two men along this path. Now, you know the story. The prodigal son came to his father. And keep in mind, he's the youngest son. He came to his father and he said, "Hey, Daddy, I want to just go ahead and get my inheritance so I can go out and experience life." Now, to my amazement, the father didn't get up into his face and said, "Boy, you're too young for that." No. He asked for it, guess what? And he gave it to him. The father gave him his full inheritance. Now, I don't know how much money this was, but more than likely back then, it was probably livestock and male or female servants. That's what they did back in those days. So if you were to kind of modernize it, it'd be a lot of money for someone like myself. Just think about it. At the age of 17, when I left high school, going to college, if I'd asked my dad, "Hey, Dad, give me my inheritance now," and he'd have gave it to me. Well, you know what I would have done with that, right? I would have used it, abused it, mistreated it. I would have been flat broke within a matter of weeks, I'm quite sure. I'm not sure what you would have done yours, but some of us would have probably landed okay, but most of us would have been probably exactly where the prodigal son is headed. Trouble. That kind of money, without guidance, yes. Without a mentor, yes. Without someone speaking truth into your life, yes. With you smelling yourself, with you really working this out by yourself, that's trouble. That is trouble with a whole bunch of money in your pocket. That's what that is. And so the prodigal son, father, he gives him his inheritance. And he doesn't do what I would do. Now, I would have told my son, let me tell you something. You take this money and you invest it. You take this money and you don't go chasing fast women and alcohol and drugs. You don't go and put this money, you don't go and waste this money just on anything. You take this money and you go get a business. You take this money and you go to college. You make something of yourself. That's what I would have done. I would have done that. As a matter of fact, I don't think I would have given my son that money, to be honest with you. But the prodigal son's father has wisdom. No, give it to him because it's his. And as long as you hold on to it, it's never his. And so he's going to always have a problem with you. He wants it, so give it to him. Yes, I know it sounds foolish, but it's really a lot of wisdom packed into this statement. Give it to him. So he gave him his dowry. He gave him his money. And we know the story because it's so familiar. The prodigal son took this money and he wasted every single penny of it. Whatever it was, he wasted it. He was flat broke within just a short time. And the Bible tells us that he found himself so broke, in such a despair, that he found himself living in a hog pen, eating in a hog pen. Now, when I read this part, I really thought when I heard he was going to the hog pen, I just said to myself, that boy going to get him a pork chop sandwich. That's what he's going to get. He's going to get a pork chop sandwich. That's what I'm thinking, because, you're talking about hogs. I like some bacon myself, so I'm thinking that boy going to get a meal. Well, he was going to get a meal, all right. But he was going to get what I call the leftovers from the leftovers. That's the garbage. He was going to eat the slop with the pigs. That's how low he had gotten. Have your children got that low? Have your children taken what you've given them and they find themselves on the outskirts of life because they've wasted what you've given them? It's not so much money. It could just be wisdom, knowledge. It could just be simply mentoring. It could just be your words you gave them of encouragement. It could be the words you gave them from the Lord. But the prodigal son, he's wasted everything he had. I pray that that's not what you're doing. I pray that's not what we've done. But we all know we've messed up. I mean, come on. How many times in life have you gotten out of debt and got back in debt? Gotten out of debt and got back in debt. It's almost like put your left foot in, take your left foot out. Put your right foot in, take your right foot out. That's what it's like. It's almost like it's a game. We consistently go in this cycle of getting ourselves in trouble. And then we get out of trouble. And we're grateful. We thank God for it. But we get ourselves into trouble. Stay ye out of trouble. The prodigal son, though, he's in the hog pen, living amongst the hogs. Now, this kind of bothers me in some sense, but let me just back it up just a little bit, because let's talk about when your child graduated from high school. I want to make this to where you can see it as well. When your son, when your daughter, when they graduated from high school, and they had that cap, that graduation gown on and that graduation cap, they took that cap at the end, all of the students, they threw them up in there shouting, and you shouting up in the stands with them because your loved one had graduated. They had accomplished something that they set out to do, and that's beautiful. They had accomplished this goal of graduating from high school, getting their diploma. Now they can go out in life and make something of themselves. But when they threw their hat up, when they were celebrating, and you were celebrating with them, and you thought they were celebrating that they had graduated from high school, you didn't realize they were also celebrating that they're graduating from your home. Yes, they are. They're celebrating they're graduating from your rules, from all the things that you speak to them every day, and they kind of see it as nagging. So they're celebrating that they're from under your wings. That's right. That's what they're doing. They're celebrating because they're getting ready to go to college or to the service or to wherever they're going to get their own place. But they're celebrating for just more than one reason. And most of it is they're celebrating because, watch this. Isn't it something? Every child, and myself included, when you go to college, when you leave home, it's like a license to sin. Isn't that funny? That's what it seems like, a license to sin, because I'm away from around my parents. I'm away from around adults who I have to really respect. I'm out here now in this world on my own, and I've got a license to do whatever I want to do. I can pleasure myself as much as I want to. I can stay up all night long, don't have to turn the lights off. I can just run the water as hot as I want to. I can keep the air conditioning turned at 62 all day long. I can do what I want to do because guess what? Because I'm grown. Because I've graduated from high school, but I've also graduated from my parents' oversight. I now have a license to sin, to really jump in and to really do my thing. That's what children think about. That's what children think like. That's what I thought. I mean, I wanted to get ready to go and party. So I'm like the prodigal son. I'm going to school, but I'm not going for the education. I'm going for the parties. I'm going to let my hair down, to let loose and to become buck wild. That's what I'm going for. I'm going to chase all those things that I've seen on TV. I'm going to have that kind of fun. And so it's like this to me. Now, if you play now, oh, you're going to work later. But if you work now, you can play later. Now, most of us don't get that because youthfulness will drive you into poverty. Youthfulness will drive you into sin. It'll drive you out of your mind if you're not careful. It'll drive you into picking up bad habits. It'll drive you into being influenced by the wrong people. But more importantly, it will drive you to where it will put a distance between you know now, and the you that you're going to meet later as you get older. It'll put so much distance between you that you won't realize that the two are the same. You will see, you can't see yourself, but if you could just see yourself, you'd understand yourself that there's something greater coming if you can just get past these few years of immaturity. These few years are where you think you should be pleasuring yourself. The prodigal son, The prodigal son's father. Now he is probably the father. He's probably getting up every morning and going out on the porch, and he's looking over the horizon, looking to see if he can see a shadow of existence of his son returning home every morning. So what that tells me is he's praying. Yes, he's believing. He has hope. He has faith. You know why? Because the Bible tells us that if you raise up a child in the way they should go, when they get old, they will not depart from it. That's what I believe he has inside of him. I pray that's what you have inside of you. I pray that you put so much word inside of your child, so much word, that when they're out there partying, when they're out there dropping it like it's hot, they can always come to themselves. I pray you put some word in them. I pray you took the time, that you put something of quality inside of them. You put some parables inside of them. You put some proverbs inside of them. You've deposited what I call golden nuggets inside of them. And I pray that if someone didn't do it for you, I apologize. I wish someone would have, but you're old enough now to do it for yourself. No excuses. But if no one put that in you, then put it inside of yourself. It's right there in front of you. The word is right there in front of you. Just read it and believe it. Trust it. Yeah, have faith in it and gird yourself about with it. But let's get back to the prodigal son. Now the prodigal son, he's living in the hog pen. And he's eating slop, but he's slopping with the best of them. That's what he's doing. He's slopping with the best of them. And so when you look at him, you look at him and you look like, what the heck's wrong with that young man? What has he lost his mind? I mean, what's wrong with him? Because you don't see yourself ever doing something like that. And physically, I think you're right. Physically, most of us would never find ourselves in the hog pen, eating slop with the pigs. But what about mentally? Mentally, see, the prodigal son left. He took his inheritance and he found himself in a hole. Mentally, don't you check out sometime on your family? I mean, be honest with yourself. Mentally, don't you check out? Don't you check out and leave? Mentally, don't you find yourself in a hog pen thought process? You know what I'm saying? If we could open up your mind right now and see your thoughts, aren't those some very trashy thoughts? I mean, don't sometimes Satan comes in, don't sin comes in, because that's what the hog pen is a metaphor to me. It's sin. It's living in sin. It's being wrapped up in sin. And that's what the prodigal son was doing. He was caught into sin. Yes, he was caught into sin. Are you caught into sin in your thinking? Yeah, your stinking thinking. Have you caught yourself up into a hog pen of thoughts? Do you have a season of hog pen attributes? See, we can look at him and we can put him down because we can sense him physically. We can see him physically in this pen with these pigs. But we can't see inside of your head where you are mentally inside of that pen with those pigs. Yeah, you're thinking. You're thinking thoughts that you know good and well that if we were to look inside your head and see them, you'd be so embarrassed. See, that's where we are. Yeah, we can't point fingers over there until we point some back here. So he messed up. He got off track, and so glory be to God. But he had something inside of him. So I truly believe that while he was in that hog pen, with that mud all on his face, fighting with the pigs. Watch this. Isn't it something? He's in here fighting with the pigs for slop. Watch this. And his father is at home eating pig feet, eating bacon and pork chops. Isn't that something? While he's in here competing, his father's at home eating. That's where your son and daughter should be, home with you. Now, I don't mean that they should be home with you when they're grown, but I'm just meaning they should know that they have a home to come to. The prodigal son knew he had a home to go back to if he wanted to. That's the type of father he had. I pray that you're the kind of father who knows how to help your children out. Now, I don't mean spoil them right. I mean, but knows how to step in and be the father that you need to be. We all need a second chance. God gave you a second chance. That's why you're probably living the way you're living now, because someone gave you a second chance. Someone gave you an opportunity that you didn't deserve. The prodigal son needs a second chance. And what's so great about this is that when he looked up, the Bible says he came to himself. Well, in order to come to yourself, you got to find yourself. In order to find yourself, you got to see yourself. In order to see yourself, you got to be yourself. And so when he wiped that mud off his eyes, he could see that, he could see the reflection of his father speaking to him. He could see a mural, and he could understand that his father has been echoing and praying for him. His mother is praying for him. That's what the prodigal son does. The Bible says he come to himself. Well, in order to come to himself, he had to realize who he was. And so he realized, he made the statement that at my father's house, my servant eats better than this. So watch this. He sees himself in his father's house. Now, not as his father's son, but as a servant of his father. That's where he sees himself, because he don't feel worthy to go back as a son. Isn't it something? Jesus sees you as a son. No matter how many times you and I have messed up, no matter how many times your daughter and your son mess up, they're still your sons and daughters. Don't condemn them. Don't judge them. Yes, bless them. Yes, bless them. Pray for them. Be concerned about them. They are still yours. No matter where you are, keep praying for them. I was asked a question, how long do you keep believing and keep hoping? And I said, well, forever. Forever. Jesus never stopped on you. Why would you stop on your children? Why would you stop on yourself? So let me flip this real quick. We're talking about the prodigal son, and every time we talk about the story, we see a young person. Well, hold up. Some of you are prodigal sons and daughters, and you're 40, 50, 60 years old, and you're still in the mud. You're still wrestling with sin. You still haven't told Jesus yes. You're still in the dump ground. You're still in the cesspool of life, still playing those same old games, flip it this and flip it that. When will you come out from amongst us? When will you come to yourself so that you can be the best you can be? I mean, I'm quite sure you have children. What a shame if you haven't come to yourself and you have children. If you can't come to yourself, how do you expect them to come to themselves? You're the pattern for them. And so I pray, pick yourself up out of the hog pen. I told you, I believe in second chances. Jesus believes in chances after chances after chances. I mean, come on. How many times should we forgive him? 7 times 7? Jesus is letting us know he is a forgiving Savior. I pray that you realize that. I pray that you realize that the prodigal son's father, he's kind of an example of Christ. The Bible says when the prodigal son comes to himself and he comes back home, the father runs out to him and embraces him. Powerful. Are you willing to embrace your loved ones? Your daughter who cursed you out? Yes, she did. Curse you out. Your son who stole from you? Yeah, he did. But are you willing to embrace them so that they can come to themselves? Do they know that they have a parent who they can come home to, who they can apologize and understand that parent will not condemn them? That parent will not judge them. That parent will love them. That's what Jesus does for us. He gives us unconditional love, unmerited favor. That's what he does for us. He shows us grace and mercy. Are you like Jesus? Are you able to bring your child? Are you able to forgive? Are you able to love? I mean, have your life been that hard that you can't say, I'm sorry? I need to come home. I need a second chance. In your marriage, can you tell your wife, I'm sorry, honey, I want a second chance? We are the human race. We believe in second chances. Yes, we do. We believe in third and fourth and sometimes fifth chances. Yes, we do. But you're going to have to realize, in order to sustain this life that we have, in order to sustain this forgiveness and this love, we have to make sure that we are forgiving ourselves. Don't forget the prodigal son. When you read this story the next time, see yourself. Yes, go inside of your head and realize that you've been in some hog pen moments yourself. Yes, you've got some hog pen tendencies in your life. And so when you look at your child, realize you were young once and you had some hog pen moments. You still have some probably now because your thoughts will take you into a hog pen disposition. I pray that just because you're young, just because you're old, there's no excuses for understanding that you can always come to Jesus. Always. He's always open. He's always available. I just pray that you remember this one thing, that when our children leave home and they live a life full of sin, yes, and they live a life where they seem like they have no conscience, and they live a life where they seem like they're disconnected from the Creator, We will look at them and we will make statements like, they just lost. And that's a true statement. They are lost. But watch this. Sometimes lost don't mean I'm missing. Sometimes lost don't mean that they are missing. Sometimes lost means they're just out of position. Yes. Sometimes they're living in their hog pen experience. I pray that you'll be blessed. I pray that this word has encouraged you. I pray that this word has enlightened you about the prodigal son. I pray that you realize that it's not just so much a physical hog pen. Sometimes it's a mental hog pen. I pray that you have a spiritual father whose name is Jesus Christ. I pray that you understand that he believes in second chances. Don't forget to read Romans 10:9. Remember, God is God. Hey, subscribe below if you enjoyed this message. I'm posting every week. And join me on Instagram, _talklets. Hey, you have a blessed day. I'll see you next time.